Good afternoon. This is Jason Decker with the Midlothian, Illinois Voters Bloc, and we have our. Go ahead.
Village Clerk, Alan Moskal.
Okay. And we just have some questions for him, doing a very basic get to know you kind of interview here. So, how long have you been village clerk?
I have been village clerk for 3.5 years.
Okay. And what did you do before you were village clerk?
Previous to being village clerk, I was a trustee for two full 4-year terms and half of a 4-year term.
And why did you do a half term?
I did a half term because I decided to run for village clerk to try and make a difference in some of the things that we needed to change in the clerk's office. And the way, it's called continuity of government, but the way terms work in municipalities in Illinois, you don't ever want to have a complete turnover of all the elected officials in the same year. So in Midlothian, in one election cycle, there's 3 trustees are up for election with 4-year terms. And then 2 years later, the other 3 trustees and the mayor and the clerk are up for election. And so I happen to be a trustee on the cycle with the 3 trustees. So if I wanted to run for clerk,
You would have done a half term.
correct, you can only hold one position at a time.
And if you would have lost, do you lose your position?
No, if I would have lost, I would have remained the village trustee for the remaining 2 years.
Another benefit of staggering
Yes.
positions.
Yes.
Okay, so what exactly do you do as a clerk?
Excellent question. So, lots of people wonder that. So the village clerk is the official record keeper of the village. So I'm responsible for a number of things, but ordinances, for maintaining all the village historical records, contracts, agreements, ordinances, resolutions. I'm also responsible for making sure that the village president and the trustees get copies of all documents that they need for things to consider. The clerk's office is responsible for making sure that agendas are posted and meeting minutes are created in accordance with the Open Meetings Act in Illinois. I'm also the official keeper of the village seal. The clerk's office handles property transfer stamps, of which there are a number of in Midlothian. And also, very big, important one are FOIA, or Freedom of Information Act requests, which by law we're required to respond to within 5 days. So there's ebbs and flows with that, but in today's day and age, we get a lot of FOIA requests.
And all the licensing as well, right?
Licensing as well, yep.
Liquor licenses,
Correct.
business licenses, that's all.
Liquor licenses, business licenses.
So that's not, how many people work with you? Because you can't handle all that yourself.
Correct. And our village clerk position, it's an elected position. It's not a full-time employee position. So
Right.
The clerk's office per se has one full-time employee, and that's our deputy clerk, Maria Kalecki. And so we share a lot of responsibilities for different things, but she acts in the place of the clerk when I can't be here.
So because of your position's part-time, you have a job.
I do.
And what do you do?
I am a finance director for a consulting firm. So I have
That kind of falls in line with,
I have my CPA certificate, and so I do work a full-time job in addition to my clerk responsibilities. That was also my finance background was helpful when I was a village trustee. I was responsible for finance and administration.
that was your assignment?
Not for my entire time as a trustee. I spent some time with Public Works, the majority of my time with the police department, but also some time with finance and administration, and I was on the finance committee.
Very good. So it is definitely a full-time job, but
It is.
it's technically, or on paper, it's called a part-time job, but
Correct.
it's definitely
Yeah.
takes up a lot of your time.
A number of other municipalities have, they view the deputy clerk position as anyone who works in a clerical or an office position is technically considered a deputy clerk. That could work, but those individuals also have a lot of other responsibilities, and so things like FOIA requests and transfer stamps, agendas, having things posted in time to be compliant with the laws.
The village could get in trouble for things not being posted
Absolutely.
in time, or not responding to FOIA requests, or not getting back FOIAs, I guess would be the key thing.
Absolutely.
For my own.
Absolutely.
And can I ask, what is the current salary of the village clerk?
By village ordinance, the village clerk makes, I think it's $15,750 a year.
And that's salary that's taxed.
Correct. Taxable
Gotcha.
income.
What would you consider, I mean, with everything you just listed on your responsibilities, if you had to pick one, what is the most difficult aspect of being the village clerk? Or what's the hardest part? What do you not like doing, or what do you, when you have to
Despise
do
the
it?
most?
Yeah.
That's a great question. I think that you have to be very flexible and juggle a lot of things with competing deadlines. It's much like my day job, so I can't really say it's the one thing I like least, but I would say it's probably the one aspect that bears a lot of. It could at times be frustrating.
Maybe the most challenging.
Most challenging, yeah. It's not something that can be that can't be overcome. But it would if we didn't have good staff here, if I didn't have a great deputy clerk and people to help keep things moving, that would be even more challenging. But it's really just having to stay on top of the ball and deadlines, and time kind of stops for no one. And we're in a period right now with the pandemic. The governor ceased some of the requirements under the Freedom of Information Act. So although we don't have the same type of tight deadlines around posting agendas and things like that, it's been important to me that we continue to do that. So we have been staying compliant, even that aside. So it's really just, I think the challenge is really just kind of looking to see where the balls are coming from and making sure that stay on top of it and things keep moving.
I'm sure
try not
it
to miss a
definitely
step.
ebbs and flows. You could get 10 FOIA requests in one day and then never see another one for 2 weeks.
And that happens.
Yeah.
That happens. And some are easy to respond to, and some could take the full 5 days, depending on who we have to reach out to get information or find documents.
I forgot to ask, because my shorthand on my notebook here. What did you do before you were trustee? Did you do any kind of public service work or volunteer work for the village here?
I was asked to be a member on the Zoning Board of Appeals in, I think it was 2005 or 2006, and I spent I think a little more than a year on that board. And then I was asked by then Mayor Borowski if I would consider running for an open trustee position.
Well, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good person to ask you.
It was. It's good experience.
How long have you lived in Midlothian?
I have born and raised here, so 47 years.
Wow. So now getting back, you said the most difficult aspect. Now, what is your most enjoyable aspect of being the village clerk here in Midlothian?
Well, I would say being an accountant, I'm a little bit type A. So one of the things that I have enjoyed doing, and I think it's brought some benefits to the village. One of the things I've enjoyed doing is trying to improve our technology and some of our processes we have with things. So, for example, when I was elected clerk, we were all still completely paper-driven in terms of our agendas and meeting minutes and getting board packets printed at 5 o'clock so agendas could be done by 7 o'clock and into the hands of trustees was challenging and costly. And so I was able to convince the board that it would be a good idea to try and move to a cloud-based system where things were electronic. And I think there was some trepidation a little bit because people are all at different places in terms of their comfortableness with their comfort with technology. But we did that about 2 years ago, and that has turned out to be a great thing. It saved us a lot of money in terms of paper and printing. It's allowed us to be more nimble, to get information into people's hands. Our system is actually integrated with our website, so if anyone goes to the Village of Midlothian's website and looks for meeting minutes or agendas, not only, they're not just looking at a PDF copy of something that was posted outside the village hall. If there are documents, draft ordinances or resolutions or estimates for things like a new fire truck or sewer work that we have to do.
It's all integrated.
Residents can actually look at that and they can click on those and see the exact same documents. So, and it's a surefire way to be sure that that agenda is posted. And as soon as the minutes are done for those meetings, those are posted there as well. Also, by doing that, we enabled ourselves to be able to continue to function during the pandemic, because we are not meeting here in the village hall. The trustees are not.
So if that wasn't implemented, then these village meetings would.
We could do it, but it would be very taxing, I would say, in order to be able to get documents into people's hands. We'd have to have them delivered. We don't use board docs for the actual conducting a Zoom meeting. It's another technology we use to actually have the meetings, but we wouldn't have the ability of the cost savings we've had to be able to do that. We're not printing things. This technology actually gives everybody on the board and all our department heads access. It's a giant library and repository for documents. So many times during meetings, a trustee may say we might be discussing a certain topic, like a redevelopment agreement, and a trustee may inquire, well, how did we handle this with the redevelopment agreement with such and such a business, and they can actually pull that agreement right up on the
during the meeting instead of saying we got to pass and come back.
A picture of it, yeah.
Or
And if
2
they want to
weeks.
know what the discussion was around it, they can actually pull up the minutes for that meeting
And
as
then-
well too. So
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you said this is all a system you kind of integrated when you became clerk.
it is.
It's something that you brought to the table and
It is.
said that we need to do this.
It's helped us become more efficient. I mean, certainly there are cost savings benefits to it, but it's helped us become more efficient. I can do my job remotely. I can do more remotely.
And I mean, just the time you said printing everything out, now there's free time for either family
Correct.
or other village issues that need to be addressed.
Exactly.
And less stress on everybody.
And many times there could be late changes, or someone might have a late addition, right before we need to post that agenda, or there might be a new attachment if we got a revised estimate, let's say, to purchase a new squad car, anything that we might have to sign an agreement for. It's just the nature of the beast that things change. There could be a late change, and if we had just printed out 600 pieces of paper and something changes and that's all bundled, and we now have to break them apart and print some new stuff, it's just it's not efficient. So with technology, we can easily change that document, and our board members get a notice and say, hey, this thing has changed. We haven't wasted a single piece of paper yet.
Very, very good. So you do plan on running again in the spring, right?
I do.
For clerk, hold your position. Do you plan on more long term? Like do you see yourself ever broadening your horizons and moving up, like to another position, or not maybe up, but sideways? Or do you like it enough to where you stick around for a long time?
It's hard to say. I think things change in people's personal, situation. I enjoyed being a trustee, and had I not really wanted to be a clerk or to see the benefits or the things that I thought I could bring to the table, I may still be a trustee today. I've actually enjoyed what I've done. I think there's still work to be done.
So you're definitely happy you moved up.
Oh yeah, it was good, and I think too. I don't know that it's something that's unique about Midlothian, but I know in many other municipalities, usually the person who goes from being usually they go from being a clerk to a trustee. So the village clerk is a non-voting position. So one of the drawbacks, I guess, depending on how you look at it, of moving from being a trustee to running for the clerk, is that I don't have a vote on any of the issues that come before the board anymore. So you are that objective person, the election official for the village. So you have to be you have to be objective, which also fits well with my accounting background. So that's one of the drawbacks about choosing to become the clerk. I do intend to run for another term, and in terms of that, I'm not sure.
We'll see what 4 years. Like you said, 4 years is 4 years. A lot. I mean,
exactly.
Look at 2016 and now. It's long.
Exactly.
Many things have changed.
We've I think we've accomplished a number of things. We've come a long way, but I think as you grow and things progress, you realize there's other things that can still be done to make things better. So
absolutely. I think that's pretty much it. I had a lot of questions for Gary. Obviously, he's the mayor. What do you think Midlothian could use or need? What does Midlothian need to move forward? As far as a village itself.
The village itself.
Like obviously we have abandoned properties. We have some flooding issues, which obviously are in the works of being fixed. But I asked Gary, as much as it's a drop in the bucket, if somebody gave you, as much as you're an elected position, but you don't have a vote, but if somebody gave the clerk $1 million grant to use however you see fit in the village, where would you put that $1 million?
So that's an excellent question. So and the mayor probably told you about some of the projects that are underway in terms of the flood mitigation project.
That's why I said $1 million
is
a drop in the bucket.
That's a drop in the bucket. But
so let's take the flooding out of there, because that $1 million is barely a dent.
Yep.
So if you could put $1 million
somewhere. So one of the other projects that's underway is we are looking to put a new TIF district, or tax increment finance district, in the downtown area. So it would be great to be able to have a revitalized downtown, and we've done a lot of infrastructure things, not necessarily just things that the village has done, but things we've gotten grant money for. I know one of the questions I think you got, and I think Trustee Trice answered it, was someone had inquired about the street lights in downtown, the decorative street lighting in the new banners and the light poles that are up. That was, Midlothian was able to get that through a grant around transit-oriented.
So no
districts.
no additional cost to
Correct.
the residents.
No cost to the village. But that has been a topic that's been on the mind of all the village boards that I've been part of since I've been on the board in Midlothian. Is it's not a secret that we need to beef up our downtown. It would be nice to fill empty businesses and fix some of the businesses, entice new businesses to come to town. And so those are some of the things that we have that the TIF district is intended to help developers entice them and bring some more interest to the downtown. So that is business is number one, I think, is something that we need. And there are programs we could use things like $1 million for to help with either facade improvements. We don't have a lot of funding or other benefits that we can actually give to new businesses. We do have some businesses we've entered sales tax sharing agreements with, and other redevelopment agreements to help businesses stay here or to invest and rehabilitate their buildings. And the village board has always been open to doing that. We've also been creative in finding a way to finance things that we need. So the mayor may also told you a little bit about the new public safety facility or police station that's in the works.
We actually didn't talk too much about that, but from a meeting a couple weeks ago, if it's my understanding that was actually able to be at no cost either because of refinancing of bonds.
Yeah.
Am I correct there?
Yeah. So the village, we've another thing I think that although I'm not the finance and administration trustee anymore or on the
no, but you are the clerk.
We've done a very good job with tightening up village our financial situation. So we've got really great bond ratings, and the public safety facility of the police station will be paid for was by refinancing bonds at a lower interest rate. It will not cost our residents a dime, and we are still abating taxes on the bonds that we do still have outstanding. So it's a way that we're going to address a very critical need where we don't have to ask the taxpayers to help pay. A lot of them are still familiar with our water infrastructure bonds, which allowed us to replace all the water mains and meters that we needed and build the elevated water tower. That is something we had to ask the residents to help finance, but we've not had to do that. We've got great, our financials are in very good condition. It was one of the reasons we were able to be able to go and refinance those, because we've got really good ratings. And so, we'll have some challenges here in this building as well. With, we had a roof we had to replace, and we got some grant money for it to help pay for. But there's always going to be something to do. So, $1 million would go very fast. I think the board would like to see, I think using that $1 million to do something to attract some, great businesses in our downtown
entice some of these businesses to fill out.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Well, I asked Jerry, and I'm sure you're, with what we were just talking about, if you had to rate on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate our downtown area for businesses, both existing and coming to residents, and then of course visitors, because we like visitors to come in here and spend money, right? So how would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10?
When you say how do I think visitors would rate it, and how do I think residents would rate it?
No. I'm saying, how would you rate it? How would you personally rate the downtown Midlothian for businesses?
Oh, okay. Meaning being attractive for businesses or a good place for them to go to. We have a great location. We have a great community here who I think we have a lot of residents who are great about supporting smaller businesses. And when we talk about our downtown area, we're not going to be able to attract a Target, let's say, or a Walmart in downtown Midlothian. But I do see, I think we have great resident support of some of our local businesses and restaurants. So, we need to do some work with our property owners to help refresh images and buildings. Like I think that part of it, the curb appeal, needs some work. So that kind of brings down the rating, I would say, in my mind. But I think on a scale of 1 to 10, I think we're somewhere around a 7. I mean, there's always room for improvement. But I think our biggest challenge is making it attractive, and that's the village can do its part. I think we're doing a number of things to try and make that happen.
Well, I think the big one is lack of parking.
Parking is a challenge, right? I think, but the things we can control, that the village can control, I think are already on the radar screen, and we're trying to work to address those. Our parcels in downtown area, our business properties, are all owned by different people, and so sometimes getting those individuals to have the same mindset about what we want things to look like, or to be, recruiting good businesses that we might like to have.
Absolutely.
It takes a lot of interaction, with them to make that happen.
So would that 7 also fall for residents and visitors as well? The appeal of downtown?
I think so too. I think the feedback I hear more feedback about our downtown area not being visually appealing to new businesses. I hear that from our residents. I don't hear that from business owners. And that's just being very honest. And there are days when I'm hard pressed to disagree with them.
Well, that's what we want in our elected officials is honesty.
We need to work on it, and that is being addressed. I think our building department has had some staffing changes in the last couple of months, and I think we finally got a good set of property maintenance inspectors, and we have a good leader. And we are working, I think, I won't use the word aggressively, but I think we are working very proactively with property owners to try and address some of those things, those that we can.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And just so the people watching this can know, if they have questions or comments, concerns for you, how do they get a hold of you, or how can they find you?
Absolutely.
How can they reach you?
Yep, anytime. I'm available anytime. They can call the Village Hall, 389-0200. I'm available via email. There's a link to my email address on the village website, and I'm on Facebook as well. I also have there's an Alan Moskal Village Clerk Facebook page that people are welcome to reach out anytime.
We just know some people complain about the reachability of our elected officials, and as I've told them multiple times, they're not hard to get a hold of. So
yep, understand. Yep, I think that we do a good job of trying to do that. And one last thing I will mention, because you did ask about elections.
Go ahead.
We do have an election coming up next year, and the library, Jennifer Kasha, who's the director of the Midlothian Public Library, has put together a program for individuals who are interested in running for local office. So not just a village position, but also library board positions, school board positions, township positions. And so that is going to be on Thursday, October 8th. And I know she has a few guest speakers. One of the library trustees will be speaking about her experience on the board, why she decided to run. One of our village trustees, Trustee Sandy Crowley, will also be a speaker on that. And Jennifer asked me if I would do a presentation on what people actually need to do to run for office. So in terms of paperwork that people need to collect and file. So there's information, I believe, on the library website, and it was also in their most recent newsletter that came out. But if anyone's interested in that, I think that will be a helpful presentation for anyone who's ever considered running for office.
Very good. Thank you very much for your time.
Very welcome.